We're on a spot today that we would like to share with you. This farm or piece of land, it's about 6,000 hectares and it's been in the same family since 1820 when the British settlers came to the Eastern Cape. I just want to show you around what it's like on a digging site and what clues we are searching for. The interesting thing about this farm is that the main house is situated on the other side of that hill over there. But apart from that, there are several little old buildings built out of natural rock where people used to stay. So one of the first signs of an old site is when you see rocks like this lying around. This is part of a very old building, 1800s, that is in this thick bush. I'm going to take you in towards the old building and what's left of it. All the houses here are south facing, which is a clear indication that the people came from Europe, from the northern hemisphere, because our houses are normally built north facing. Let's take a look. This is all that remains of this old building, old cottage. But it's right in the thicket and it's very difficult to metal detect here. You have to clear the bush first. You can see there's an old chimney, so I presume that's where the kitchen or indoor cooking place used to be. Jeanette busy retreating out of the thicket. We're not now digging outfits today.
And I need some long pants for my legs.
This is what you look like when you are detecting in the South African so-called hakensteek bushes. These are the marks. If you see someone with these marks, you know they've been outside in the bush doing something. Whilst working here, we noticed a tall cypressboom. It's the trees the Afrikaners, the Boers, used to plant at their grave sites in the middle of the bush up ahead. So we went there to go and have a look. Typical South African thorn bush that you have to negotiate every now and then. Yeah, what a walk up the hill. This is the old tree I was talking about. Let's see what's there. Although research are very important on planning a dig, it's often a bit of luck that leads you to the find. We were resting under this tree from the hot African sun when Stuart was standing at the trunk of this tree with a Garrett pinpointer switched on in his hand against the tree when it suddenly indicated metal in this tree. And look what we found, a hollowed out tree. This tree is hundreds of years old and it's got a cavity more than a meter into the trunk of the tree. But at the time it was filled with water, so we had to go back and get a pipe and drain the water because the Garrett pinpointer which we stuck down the tree was going ballistic. And this is where we found some awesome coins. So we obviously wanted to detect in the area around here as well, but we encountered huge problems with the soil due to mineralization. I mean, we get readings all over the place all the time, and we're still looking at a way of solving the problem. We discovered that if you drag a magnet over the soil, it attaches to the magnet in heaps. because it's a very vast area with many historic old buildings. This area was known for its bushbuck, and especially in 1910 hunting parties from everywhere came here to shoot bushbuck over the Easter weekend, and they were using shotguns to hunt, and we've collected numerous very old shotgun cartridges in the area. Okay, we're back from the site. This is our office where we like to work. It's outside, it's outdoors. Ties in nicely with what we do every day. Okay, from the site we normally bag stuff, and then there's a little note in it to identify the objects and the research we've done and what we found. So I'm just gonna give you a teaser of some of the interesting stuff. Here we've got a old brass door handle that comes from that old house. Wonderful old beautiful piece of brass door handle. Just have a look here. Yeah, shotgun shells or any ammunition is always a very good object to date area. Here's two that we found on that site. We'll show it to you now. Just want to see what I've written here. Old shotgun shell, and this one. And this one says Remington UMC number 12. Says Remington UMC number 12 Nitro Club. Now what we found about that is the Remington UMC Nitro Club dates between 1913 to 1915. The Remington UMC Nitro Club merge happened when the two companies merged in 1911, and these cartridges were limited to that period of time when the two companies merged. So we know in that period someone has fired this shotgun shell, and they probably fired at some bushbuck in the area, as the farm was known for its lots of bushbuck. Okay, and then a very interesting piece to me personally. It might seem insignificant, but I love these old objects. It's a .22 brass cartridge, and it's got the marking at the back which says F. So it was quite easy to find, and what we found was it says brass .22 cartridge, head stamp F. This particular cartridge was made by the Federal Cartridge Corporation. It's a Lightning .22 long rifle, and these cartridges were made in 1871. So this predates the shotgun shells. So now we already got a date of 1871. Then these two funny pieces of lead objects. This is the projectile from a cartridge that it was fired against the wall. We discovered a graveyard close to the place, and this were lying in the ground against us also. Someone fired these two shells at the wall, maybe for target practice. Each weighs 450 grams. So our deduction was that it was used by either a Henry Martini rifle, Mark II from the era during the Boer War, which I've dated. I'll tell you, my guess is 1880, and I'll show you another object what that will tie in with this. And then we also knew there were women at the place. It was not a man's only camp. Look at this old thimble. So she must have probably sat down on the front of the house there doing some needlework. We also found several pieces of crockery, which shows that it was probably a couple or a family who lived in that particular place. Now we're getting to some more interesting stuff. Get to it now. Once again, firstly, an old cartridge and a brooch. And I'll give you the history now. The cartridge, to start off with. The farm was known for its hunting trips, where the Oaks used shotguns to hunt. But this is a very high caliber cartridge here. And the head stamp on the back says 500 450 Wesley Richards Falling Black Block Rifle, 1880 to 1881. Now the interesting thing is that it's an improved Martini Henry version design, but it was made, these cartridges, by a British company, Wesley Richards. But they supplied the South African government under President Kruger in the First Boer War, 1880 to 1881, with 10,000 of these rifles and ammunition that fits that rifle. There are only 68 of those rifles left known to the records. So someone shot something of a particular size to have used this cartridge. So this is a cartridge that was used by the Boers in the 1880s, although the property has belonged or belongs and had belonged to a British family. And then the brooch, which I also find particularly interesting. We also found it on the same site. Look at this piece of handiwork. It's a brooch, handmade. It's rolled copper tubes that have been spot, not welded, soldered together. But it's on the back. It has a little clasp. Now this clasp, type of clasp that has been used on this handmade object, dates back to 1837. So that's the earliest date that we can trace back to the site. And then obviously we found a couple of coins there. Which is quite interesting, nothing of significant earth-shattering value. Here's an old, a very, very old coin which says 1850. And it's a Queen Victoria, old Queen Victoria 1850 coin. There are some other ones. These are still have to be cleaned and restored. We also found a 1960 and a 1961 1 cent, South African 1 cent at the site. Just can get all of it. There's the half cent, 1961, and then even some old British money. Queen Elizabeth, It's a £1. So there was still British money in circulation. Here's the 1961 1 cent. Lots of environmental damage, but still interesting to find. But we'll keep you up to date on how the digs go at that site. And hopefully we'll be able to soon be able to show you something of true value that we've dug on that particular farm.